From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week, and we are ecstatic you've tuned us in. What a difference a few days makes.
Oh, boy.
On last week's show, you had J.J. McCarthy in the Hall of Fame.
I did
you
not.
Stamped him as the Rookie of the Year.
No.
And now this week, he's out again with an injury. Here comes Carson Wentz, QB2. And your Minnesota Vikings got dominated at the House of Noise by the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday night. I mean, we were both in the building. It was loud to begin with. But toward the end, it was rather muffled in that favorite venue of yours.
Yeah, muffled? I think that might be an overstatement. How's that? It was, it was empty. I mean, people had left the building. They had said, I've seen enough of this. We didn't know during the game or right after the game that J.J. McCarthy had gotten hurt. Apparently he hurt his ankle. So is he a glass menagerie? The same story last year during the preseason game. You didn't know that he was hurt until a day or two later, and they said he's out for the year. Hopefully that's not the case here. They say a couple of weeks maybe, 2 to 4 weeks possibly. Hopefully he's back before then. And as you said, we don't know what Carson Wentz is going to bring to the table. We do know this. Carson Wentz is going to set a record.
Yeah.
He will be starting for his 6th NFL team in 6 seasons. That is a new NFL record.
And I'm not sure it's a record you want to brag about,
No.
but it is a record. You're exactly right.
Makes him a carpetbagger.
Will Minneapolis be the final stop for Carson Wentz? Will he get his footing like Sam Darnold did last season? I mean, we'll see. They've got Desmond Ridder now as the new backup, the new QB2. They signed him earlier in the week, a former Cincinnati Bengal, and he played for a lot of other teams. He's a little bit like Carson Wentz.
So is he ahead of Max?
Well, maybe he's QB3, but he's QB insurance. How about that?
Okay, all right. I was going to say, I thought Max played pretty well in the preseason. So much for the preseason meaning anything.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Minnesota Vikings, this is going to be a game against Cincinnati. It's certainly lost a lot of its star power with no J.J. McCarthy, no Joe Burrow for the Bengals.
Right.
He's now had 3 major injuries in his 6 seasons, so it's tough for him to stay on the field.
And they're stomping their feet in Cincinnati now. This has now become an issue in Cincinnati's. How long can they continue to sustain waiting for Joe Burrow to stay healthy or get healthy? I mean, he was great when they led him to the Super Bowl, but he has been hurt basically every other year since.
Yeah, the Bengal fan base is going through what the Twins have had to suffer through with Byron Buxton.
True.
Now, fortunately, in this lost season, Buxton is the one shining light. But it took a long time to get to this point. But the same thing's going on in Southern Ohio with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Joe Burrow's an elite talent. He's been to 2 Pro Bowls and a Super Bowl, like you mentioned. But he can't stay on the field. And as we've touched on many times, and as Bud Grant used to harp on, ability sometimes gets eclipsed by durability. I want guys I can count on. I get it. Some of these injuries are legit. This is a turf toe injury. I'm shocked that would sit him down, Burrow, for 3 months. But it's Jake Browning, an ex-Viking once upon a time, now in Cincinnati. And by the way, last week, another ex-Viking threw a knockout punch at Minnesota. And I'm not talking about Kirk Cousins. How about John Parker Romo?
That's right.
5 field goals.
The former kicker for the Vikings, yes. Yeah, these former purple-clad guys go elsewhere and somehow come back to haunt them now and again. You're talking about injuries. The Vikings are going to be without Aaron Jones. I think that's a big deal. He obviously did not play the whole game the other night, the Sunday night game against Atlanta. Went out with a hamstring injury. And as we know, and we've talked about this, those hamstring injuries tend to linger.
There's no question. And the Minnesota Vikings right now are a mash unit. They have injuries all across the board. C.J. Ham's on IR. He's not going to play this week. And if you look at the game against Atlanta, and I don't pin it all on J.J. McCarthy. He was inaccurate with his throws most of the night, but he was sacked 6 times.
Oh, my goodness.
The Falcons had 11 hurries. He could never get comfortable in the pocket. The O-line is a mess because of injuries, and they haven't synced up yet. When are we going to see Christian Darrisaw? And I think one of the reasons why Atlanta was able to really control that game, Michael Penix is a young guy too, just like J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
He had moments where he looked very good, moments where you could tell, hey, he's got to grow into the position. But he can lean on a dominant running game. That Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algiers, that's a 1-2 punch. I mean, Chuck Foreman told us the other day Bijan could end up being one of the all-time greats if he stays on the field.
If he can stay healthy, and that's just a huge deal right now in the National Football League. And we've seen injury after injury. Brock Purdy, has he played yet for the 49ers? I know he didn't play last week.
Week 1, and he's gone now. It's Drake May.
Yeah, so, I mean, there are...
Or Mac Jones, I should say.
Mac Jones. And there are a number of quarterbacks that have already gone down. And we were talking about this the other day on the radio, and I said, you know what? These guys are throwing the ball 30 to 40 times a game, so that means that they are susceptible 30 to 40 times a game. And a lot of these guys are no longer pocket passers like back in the day when, the guys would just stand back there and throw. I mean, Fran Tarkenton was certainly the exception to that rule. But these guys a lot of them are runners. Jaden Daniels is a great example
Dinged
of that.
up.
Dinged up.
Might not play this week.
Yeah.
And we'll get Baker Mayfield Monday against Houston. I mean, he's a definite warrior. He's kind of a throwback quarterback, in Tampa Bay's 2-0. But, boy, I wonder if Baker Mayfield's going to be able to run it all if he does play this week. He was getting knocked around pretty good by Houston.
So don't be too disappointed or surprised, I should say, that J.J. McCarthy is already down. What I am surprised, though, is that if he was hurt during the game, that he continued. Although you and I did see Carson Wentz warming up towards the end, and ends up J.J. McCarthy went back out there and played. He must have just kind of toughed it out and went out there and played. But hopefully he heals up, because I don't know that the Vikings have great depth at this position right now. I mean, you're going to Carson Wentz, who just came to camp late. He obviously didn't spend mini camp with him, barely spent training camp with him the last week or two. So this is going to be an interesting turn of events here.
Yeah, and we'll give Carson the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he comes out and does extremely well against the Bengals. But if he struggles, there's going to be a lot of people second-guessing KOC and Kwesi for not getting a more established QB2 in the offseason.
Sooner rather than later. All right, we're going to continue to talk football, but we're going to talk some Gopher football coming up next. Darrell Thompson coming up.
All right, we are 10K Takes, your purple ticket.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them?
That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
Welcome back. Minnesota scores 10,000 takes, and your Gopher football squad off this weekend, coming off that loss to the Cal Golden Bears. And joining us right now to talk about Minnesota Golden Gopher football is Darrell Thompson, the former Gopher great and now currently Gopher football analyst on the radio. Darrell, your thoughts on Drake Lindsay and what you have seen through these 3 weeks, and what have you learned about him, the Gopher quarterback?
Well, I think he's definitely the quarterback, and probably the quarterback of the future. Hopefully the next 3 years we'll continue to have him if he continues to progress. the young receivers he has, even the old receivers he has. I think he's got a really nice core, but he makes good decisions. He makes quick decisions. He can get rid of the ball, and he seems to be a very, very good game manager. And they have a lot of confidence in him. And to me, if someone has confidence in you in a job or in a relationship or anything else, you perform better, you feel better, and you play better. And it feels to me like Greg Harbaugh, their offensive coordinator, and obviously PJ Fleck have a lot of confidence in Drake.
And Darrell, as you know, the program is trying to get to that next level. So you go out to Cal, it's a Saturday night game. It's competitive, but the Golden Bears wound up winning 27-14. Coy had the very unfortunate punt muff, which pretty much iced the game for the Golden Bears. But what was the disappointment level on the plane back to the Twin Cities? Because I feel like to get to that next level, that's the kind of game you need to win.
Absolutely. Very, very winnable game. When they go back and look at the film, look at allowing their quarterback to break contain and to get outside the pocket and just throw the ball, because he's a tremendous quarterback. I mean, there's a reason they're comparing him. They say you compare him to Penix, the young man we saw on Monday Night Football last night, or Sunday Night Football, maybe the night before that. But he's a talented quarterback, left-handed, extremely accurate for a true freshman, a great quarterback. But if you can keep him in the pocket with our secondary, you got an opportunity. Didn't keep him in the pocket. They didn't really have a running game, but they had a passing game. So you know what he wants to do. You keep pressure on him, but you keep him in the pocket and you get your arm up and kind of make him throw through tighter spaces. And then you seize the opportunity when you have it, you come out with a win. And that's the type of game that when they go back and look at it, probably a little bit like North Carolina last year. Look back at North Carolina game last year, like, man, if we just would have done this and done that and maybe trusted Max Brosmer a little bit more, we would have won that game. And this game was against an opponent that we certainly should have played better against, but it's unfortunate to come out with a loss there.
And to that end, you mentioned how much they threw the football. They basically threw it on every down. As you said, there really was no running game for Cal. But if not for, and I know it's hard to say if not for, but I'm going to say it anyway, if not for the unfortunate Coy Parrish fumble on the punt, the defense did a pretty good job against the pass. Let's look at it. That was a gimme touchdown. He gave him the ball at the 1 yard line or whatever it was. It was deep in Gopher territory. So I thought that defensively they actually look better than what the final score might have indicated.
I agree. I mean, yeah, Coy had a couple unfortunate plays there, and that's kind of how it goes. But you also just have opportunities. I mean, I think there was offensive opportunities. There was defensive opportunities, and there's special teams opportunities, and we didn't really seize any of them. Didn't have a bunch of drops. I think we might have had one drop, and you're going to have drops. I mean, there's drops in the NFL and Super Bowls and everything else. I can deal with like one drop a game. But to not be able to seize the moments when you had those opportunities to me, just make it one that they're going to really look back and be like, gosh, we should have showed up a little bit more ready to play than we did. And PJ is one thing, I'll give him credit to the nth. I mean, he's sleep studied. He had the kids napping. He was practicing at 10 o'clock at night. He did all the things that you can do to be ready for that type of game. And those young men came up just a little flat. And that was unfortunate and apparent.
And they were flat last season in New Jersey, losing to Rutgers. Mm-hmm. Ethan Kaliakmanis, the ex-Gopher, he certainly was motivated. We know that. He had a solid game. They can't be flat again, Darrell. I mean, Rutgers is 3-0. You don't want to start out with an 0-1 record in the Big Ten. The bye week coming so early. My stance is I'd rather have it a little later. Is it a good time for the Gophers now that you've been humbled by Cal? Or you can't control it, but is this a good time for the bye?
Yeah, I mean, any time's a good time for a bye. And right now is probably a good time. You can lick your wounds. You can also get sometimes you need to be humbled a little bit. And we maybe got some young guys that just feel a little bit full of themselves. It's also such a different world with these young guys and getting money and cars and all this stuff. It's like, hey, you know what? We still got to play football. So they're experiencing a lot of what sometimes a rookie or a second-year guy in the NFL is kind of, oh, man, I just bought this 300ZX, and now, hey, I got a watch and I got a belt. You're like, okay, you know what? I still need you to be a Bear, a Chief, a Raider, a Viking. whatever else. That's just stuff. So you got to show up and play, and they might need to be just a little bit of humbling and a little bit of extra communication from the coaches and the leadership and the leaders on the team to be like, hey, yeah, we are a little bit better than the guys had it before us, but we still got to show up and play. And those guys on the other side of the ball, like we all said, they're getting paid too. So we better, I want to keep getting paid. I better show up and earn it.
All right, Darrell, I have a bone to pick with the NCAA, and I've been upset about this for years, and you have no control over it. Nobody does. But at the time of this recording, we don't know the start time for Minnesota at Ohio State. And if you're a Gopher fan, I think that's a game you think about going to. It's the Horseshoe. It's 100,000 plus people, the defending NCAA champions. But if it's a noon kickoff Eastern, 2:30, or a night game, your travel plans are affected by that. Does that bug you that they wait so late to give you start times on a lot of these games?
I think a little bit, but also, if I'm going, I'm going. So I'm going to go in there the night before, and whatever the game is, I'm going to tailgate. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to eat. I'm going to socialize. I'm going to get out in the community and have a good time. So I think it's a little bit of a bug, but I do get it because they're playing with time slots and TV, and Eric, at the end of the day, it's about money. And you want to be able, they want to say, well, it depends what Ohio State does. It depends what other games do. To see where are they going to slot us at 11? Are they going to slot us at 2? Or are they going to slot us, probably not at 6 o'clock at night, but most likely they're trying to decide between that 11 o'clock and that 2 o'clock time.
Well, this is Mr. Thrifty here. He's trying to avoid an overnight stay.
Yes and no. My kid has a Friday night high school football game for Champlain Park. I can't leave Friday night, Darrell. So if it's a later start Saturday, I'm going to Columbus, but I just don't know when they're going to play.
See, it comes down to it's all about Eric.
Hey, Eric, or you could just get in your car after your son's game. You could be there by 6 o'clock in the morning.
I might make it.
He might make it. All right. Before we let you go, one last question. As you look at this club right now, what things do you think need to get better for them to be able to operate and make a dent in the Big Ten this year?
Well, a little bit more consistency on defense, what I think we're seeing, and playing with that sense of urgency. I think they're starting to realize that, especially Anthony Smith and some of the leaders up front, and then that linebacking core seems to be really getting traction. And hopefully we get a Darius Thomas back within the next 3 or 4 weeks. He's a difference maker. He's a playmaker. He's probably the best prospect on the team right now. So, and then the continued growth of Drake. I think we saw LeMahieu Brockington step forward last week. We saw Tracy step forward. I think we have enough receivers. There's certainly enough receivers. He's got a lot of options to throw, besides Jamison Gears, the tight end. He's got a lot of options, and he's exploiting those. But a healthy Darius Thomas could really make an impact on this team.
All right, Darrell, good stuff. Appreciate it, and we'll check in with you down the line.
Always appreciate you guys. Anytime. Take care.
Hey, Darrell.
All right. He is Darrell Thompson, the former Gopher great, and, of course, current Gopher radio broadcaster. Eric and I will be back with more here on 10,000 Takes after this time out. Stay with us.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them?
That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Let your adventure begin in Lakeville, Minnesota. We have over 90 places to grab a bite to eat, and we're close to the Mall of America, Valley Fair, and the Minnesota Zoo, plus hotel packages and great rates. Visit Lakeville. We're serious about fun all year round.
We are 10,000 Takes, and we are among those concerned that the Minnesota Wild might be losing the best player they ever had. Karil Kaprizov and his agent have turned down an 8-year, $128 million deal. Would have made him the richest player in NHL history. However, I think as negotiations continue and as camp gets underway, I think that there is a chance that they might be looking at a shorter-term deal. Look, in 8 years, at the end of this deal, right now he's getting about 15% of the salary cap, right? A little bit more than that. About 3 years from now, he'll be going down to about 14% of the salary cap. So you would think that these long-term deals they're better for the team than they are for the player. So I think that what we're looking at, and, look, the bad news is that he said no to the 8 years. The good news is I think that maybe a shorter-term deal might be something that he's going to want to take, because that salary cap's going to keep going up as years go on.
Yeah, and that's good news for the NHL and the Minnesota Wild. I don't care what sport it is, but especially the NHL, where most of your income is driven by ticket sales. You get some TV money, but it's not nearly the same as the NFL brings in, or the NBA, or even MLB. So I don't like long-term deals. I don't like 8-year contracts. That's a big-time commitment. The Minnesota Twins did it with Joe Mauer. I would say for 4 years that was a good trade or a good contract. But the last 4, they didn't get that much bang for their buck, especially when he moved to first base. So I think if they can get him for 4 years, that's great. Then after 4, each side can reevaluate. Do you want him back? You don't know what's going to happen, right? I mean, there could be injuries. But for Karil Kaprizov to balk at this, what does that tell you? It probably tells you that he doesn't think this Minnesota Wild franchise can win a Stanley Cup, that he's tired of the one and done in the
mediocrity.
Playoffs. Yes. I mean, what is it, 9 straight years of getting in and then getting out right away? So that has to change. He's a guy who's elite, but it's also a lot of money. It eats up a lot of your cap, even though you might have higher cap numbers, as you pointed out. This is very interesting. He's a free agent after this season.
Right,
so next July he
Yep.
could be on the market. He could jump into that free agency pool. He'd make a huge splash. So if the Wild know they're not going to be able to sign him, do you trade him so you can get something in return?
Oh, boy.
Because the LA Angels a couple of years ago thought they might be able to bring back Shohei Ohtani. They kept him all year. Then he goes to the Dodgers right up the freeway. They got nothing in return. So Bill Guerin has some decisions to make if they reject this offer.
And let's not forget, the Wild are the team that signed Parise and Suter to those long-term contracts. Well, that was like 13 years, wasn't it?
And that's why I don't like the length of it. I'm okay with 4.
Yeah, that did not work out for Minnesota, because the last few years they have spent working around what was still remaining on those contracts. Now they're free of that, and so they can offer this money to Kaprizov. But I think for both sides, I think it might be better if they just come to terms on a 3 or 4 year deal and then reevaluate at that point. Look, Kaprizov is by far the best player that they have ever had. And so they need him. And they need him for more than just that. They need him to, as you said, to continue to bring the fans in, to keep the fan base from thinking that this is just a merry-go-round. We're going to continue to be mediocre from now to eternity. So let's hope that they come to some kind of agreement and they keep Karil here.
Well, he's fire on ice. I mean, he's extremely exciting to watch. And it's not just because of the goal scoring. He also can dish it off. He loves to pass. He's very good at it. And he'll go into the corners and dig a puck out. He'll roll up his sleeves and he'll get dirty. I think he's the ideal superstar to play with. I'm sure his teammates know that he elevates everything on the ice when he's on a shift out there for the Minnesota Wild. But again, he probably sits at home, when May and June roll around, and he watches Florida and Edmonton and all these teams compete for the Stanley Cup, Las Vegas, and on it goes. And he's saying, I want to do that, because that's the only true way he's going to get the ultimate recognition, and that is to go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we need to take a break. When we come back, yes, indeed, takes of the day on deck. We are 10,000 takes. Stay with us.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Wally and Eric from 10,000 Takes here in the land of lakes. And if you want sports of all sorts, check us out. We cover all the bases, all the teams in the great state of Minnesota.
Vikings, Twins, Wild, Gophers, Timberwolves, Loons, you name it, we do it. Late night Saturday night on Fox 9 Plus and on the Fox local app.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers in the Twin Ports right here in the Twin Cities. And my spies tell me we're now on in Med City. That would be Rochester.
True.
And Mankato. So the network is expanding. They're going to find out if it's Takes of the Day coming up. If you're a cranky Yankee or a grumpy Guardian or maybe you're a happy camper. What is it this week?
Well, if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm not real thrilled. I mean, are the folks in the front office over there in Eagan, are they having a little buyer's remorse, waiting this long to go out and get a second-string quarterback, which turns out to be Carson Wentz? We'll find out how he does this week. But, look, Sam Darnold had a pretty good week this past week, threw for a couple of touchdowns, threw for 295 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then there's Daniel Jones, who was part of the Vikings roster at the end of the year last year. He has thrown for over 580 yards in his 2 games, including a couple of touchdowns. So there were guys out there and guys that were under contract or played for the Vikings last year that they could have kept. Now J.J. McCarthy is out. He's out for a week or 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weeks. We don't know. Hopefully he'll heal fast, but we saw last year, 1 game, 1 injury. This year, he made it through 2 games without just 1 injury. Hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later. But Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, KOC, I hope you're right on this one because you got a guy like Justin Jefferson back there. You're wasting him away by not having another quarterback ready to go who could have been tutoring this guy, J.J. McCarthy. Instead, now you're stuck with what you got.
And we're going to check out that mood meter, and it says he's a cranky Yankee. Yeah,
a little
lot
bit.
of concerns about that quarterback room for the Minnesota Vikings.
Indeed.
All right, well, I'll try to uplift us.
Okay.
I'm going to say some good things about the city of Minneapolis. A good friend of mine was in the Twin Cities last week. He came in from SoCal, lives about 45 miles east of Los Angeles, and he's traveled to a lot of spots. And I took him to a Twins game, and that did not dampen his spirits. Oh, by the way. And then he went all around Minneapolis, saw Paisley Park and Chanhassen, all that good stuff. But his takeaways was Minneapolis is clean, it's vibrant, it's fun. He loved Target Field and the connection to downtown that ballpark has. And keep in mind, he's a Dodger fan, but it's a much different ballpark than Dodger Stadium. Right. And he kept raving about Minneapolis. You got a good city here. I don't see stickers on poles, streetlights like you see in other cities around the USA. So the narrative that Minneapolis is a place that nobody goes to is completely false, because if you look at last weekend,
oh boy, it was busy.
Let's just point out Sunday. Twins had a game, Lynx had a game, Vikings had a game, all in downtown Minneapolis. Minnesota Twins played a couple games before that at Target Field. There's people going out, having a good time. The weather was great. So Minneapolis, I think, has bounced back nicely from COVID and all the situations surrounding the tragedy of George Floyd. So don't believe the narrative. Minneapolis is back.
All right. Good enough.
And on that note, we got to go. We'll say thank you to everybody who made this show possible. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.